Top of morning, ladies. My name is Chess, and happy 2025. So, yeah. And sorry for being not catching up on my what ifs. That's okay because I was spending time with family and friends. So, yeah. So I'm sorry. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. So now I'm back, fully recharged, and now let's get down to my favorite part. So, in this what if storyline, it is called What If Deku was the embodiment of infinity and zero. So, yeah, it's gonna be dark, and he can use the powers of infinity and zero because he's embodiment of it. So, yeah. Now, let's get down to business. Sorry. So, let's begin. And I'm also adding zooming into this what if, so yeah. And if you guys want me to do or redo the what if Ruma no was a or what if Deku or no what if Ruma was the Xenomorph Slayer. So here we go. Now let's jump into this what if. So, and I'm all including zooming zooming into this what if. So please make sure you hit the like button. So yeah. So Zuku and Zumi been born, and Zuku's powers manifested when he was just a toddler. When he was 1 year old, the quirks are supposed to be 4 years old, or actually supposed to be like when quirk manifested when at age of 4. So, yeah, but no one knew about it. So, let's continue. But before we jump into what will happen, let's time travel back in this what if. So there was powers before the quirks, because quirks are watered down versions of actual powers. In this, so yeah. So everyone in the prehistoric age used powers to to ensure their survivals. Some had super strength. They didn't need a quirk to basically bulk up and all that stuff. Some can be so powerful that even in their own ways they could do same thing what quirks do, but on a whole different scale. So so that time period was dead and gone. Everyone forgot about it. So then the quirkless came, and powerless people came, and then they gave birth to the quirks, that are literal, like, watered down versions and stuff like that. So, sorry. So then, but they didn't know, after Izuku was born, they didn't know that the Inko and Asashi, because Inko in this What If is a scientist, that she wants to learn how or because everyone completely forgot about powers, not quirks, but they forgot the powers, actual powers, was because they had history about it. But they're like, okay, we need to figure out how these powers works, because I think we have a weaker her versions. So then, yeah. So after Zuko and Zumi been born, Zuko's powers, actual powers, manifested inside of his own soul. So basically, no one knew about it. So he never smiles in the... Yeah. In any... Or he actually... Here's a bad part where he doesn't even show up in his own family photos. Only time that they have him in the family photos was when he was just a toddler. That's it. So then, yeah. But because Zuko has the powers of infinity and zero, he knew what happened to the powerful period. That's what it is. Or as... Yeah. So how people that had superpowers, not quirks, but actual powers, were actually basically how they all got wiped out was actually done by a gravity power. Because one of them accidentally tried to clip the grape off of a tree using their powers, and everyone's and everything stomachs were destroyed, or their hearts exploded. So every time he saw Chaco, he realizes that she might, if her powers, or if her quirk became a awakened form, she might have to, or she would probably destroy all of us. That's what he's thinking in his head. So, yeah. Because gravity in this what if universe wasn't just uh, was completely different. Like a person's heart was actually got punctured when because how overpowered it is. So yeah. So then he was the only one that knew that if Ochako used, but he also had a deep thought about quirks are weaker than power, so she's weaker than that idiot person. Let's name the idiot person Glare. So yeah, Glare had the powers of the gravity, and she destroyed everyone and everything. So yeah. So then, but he had a little, or no, he had the, sorry if I'm talking smart butt thing. So, he is also carrying the weight of the entire world. So basically, all the negative emotions that everyone else has flows right into his body because of his powers of zero. So, all that. So, he has like, if this was like, if we all like imagined weight limits things, like, you know how like Saitama in one of the panels was able to like bench press 2 black hole things? Well, Zuko actually, because he had a power of zero and infinity, he's carrying the entire paths of destiny and metaverse and everything. Like, basically, forget the 2 black holes. Forget all the, yeah, everything, or he carried everything on his shoulders. Yeah. He had so much doubt that even he blames himself for it. And no one knew about it. So then the Quark Doctor incident, like age of 4, they go to Quark Doctor, and the Quark Doctor tells Zumi that she has a quirk and she can become a hero and all that stuff. And then he looks over at Zuko and tells him that he's quirkless and he could not become a hero. So sorry, kid. So then he's much more gloomy, more than he already was. As the Quark Doctor realizes that he Because when he first saw him, he was already gloomed. But when the quirk doctor told him that he was quirkless, that made him even more gloomy. So what I mean is basically he's way more powerful. So then everyone picks on him, his friends, his family, and his girlfriend actually dumped him to go for Bakugo. But Ochahoko didn't know that Zumi actually loved Bakugo more than anyone. So, yeah. So he went to... So he got abandoned. So he goes to a different worlds. Or, no, not different worlds. Different countries. And he got his diploma and in all the countries. And he also helped the Americans learn about the history. So he says, I can't become a hero anyway, so as everybody looks at him like, you're quirkless, huh? Yeah. So then when he was just swimming out in the ocean, one of the military guys decided to drop a nuke on him. And no, it's not near any park or not near anyone. So the guy actually gets killed. Or so Zuko gets killed. Like his body was like ashes. So then it washed up on shore near Japan. Far away from, or actually, yeah. So he looks over, or as All for One walks over to Zuko and says, you poor kid. I understand your pain. You have everyone's darkest moments inside your body. So All for One picks him up and takes him to the quirk doctor's lab. So then quirk doctor did a scan, full body scan on Zuko. And what he found was like, wait, what? Here, let me show you what I mean. I forget his name. No, not Dubens. Sorry. When he saw, this is what his reaction was. I can't believe it. As a quirk or as All for One says, what can you not believe? Well, it says here that this young man has the powers of infinity and zero, actual powers. So we're basically, this is breakthrough in our own experiments. This much power, he has the powers of infinity and zero. Same powers as the Lord's upon. And he's like saying that this kid needs to be reanimated. And plus, I did a research on powers of zero. I'm trying to think. As he's thinking, he needs food. But how? He's dead. Yeah, but his powers never allow him to fully die. We see him as dead, but he's not fully dead. So, as he runs over to the quirks, or as he grabs certain ones like regeneration and evolution and the other quirks, as normally, as he says, normally the quirks or because Zero sees everything as human or food. So then, because on Zuku's right hand has the powers of a Zero, and his left has the powers of infinity. So then he ran, and the quirk doctor ran, and he sets the quirks down, and like they put them in a single jar, as he puts his Zuku's hand in the jar. As Zuku's powers activated, and it turned him into a like he reanimated back to life. His hair was a little bit long, as similar to Zumi's. But it's black hair, black eyes with red, as he's came back to life. As he looks around, as the quirk doctor gives him clothes. So he says, "Welcome, Zuko Midoriya. Welcome back to a land of the living. It's good to see you. You're the most powerfulest person in the universe. It's good to have you." As he gets up, as he's trying to wake up, as he's murmuring, as the Kirigiri was there, he could tell that He's slowly waking up from his nap, so it's hard for him to walk around. And so then he puts on underwear, pants, shirt. After Zuko puts on fresh clothes as he was so tired. So then when he looks at the Quark Doctor, after he rubs his eyes. Well, good morning, Quark Doctor. So then Zuko says, Quarkless. I'm still Quarkless, so how am I still alive? As he's bending all of his fingers, as the Quark Doctor says, with menacing aura, because you were actually born with the powers of infinity and zero, Zuko Midoriya. You're so powerful that even no one can even believe that someone was born in modern day with powerfulest moves. Stuff like that. And then he looks at. So then the couple days have passed. Everyone thought Zuko died because they put a burial to honor him. So then but they didn't know that he was still alive. And so then Zumi gets, she gets one for all. Oh. Because she knows that on the outside, she doesn't like her brother being quirkless. But deep down inside of her, she cares about him deeply. So she's having those moments. But then Zuko So she joins UA, and she's in Class 1A. She goes to her class gets on a field trip to USJ. There, instead of having multiple villains show up and, in canon, there's only 3. Shiraki-sen, Kirigiri, and Destroyer. That is Zuko. That became the villains call him Destroyer because So Zuko ends up Shiraki-sen nods his head at Zuko, and as Zuko ran right upstairs where they were at, and he knocks out all the students and dodged or he jumps over the 13's black hole quirk, standing right behind her, as he knocks her out too. As Sir Night Eyes actually, or not Sir Night Eyes, I meant Eraserhead goes to fight Shiraki-san by himself, not knowing that his students were now defenseless. As he still had that no smiles thing. So then when Zumi looks up and sees he's not smiling, he's just like, as an image of her brother had the same thing. As she says, Zuku? As Zuku looks at her. But what have they done to you, brother? As he grabs her by the shoulder and throws her across. As Shiraki-san heard that, oh, we haven't done anything. We just fed him a whole bunch of quirks. Think about him as a Nomu. But he's a more advanced version than a typical Nomu. Your friend had the powers of infinity and zero. Powers, actual powers. As Eraserhead can't believe it, that he thought that the quirks were the only things that were manifested when, or they thought the quirkless was the theme was in back then. But then Kirigiri explains that the powers of infinity, actual powers were before quirkless. So we learned about the heme in books, history books. And as Zuko walks over to Ochako home, as he's about to kill Ochako home. But then, because as 13 gets up and uses her powers, or actually Zumi runs in, grabs her brother by the arm, as he says, or as she says, "What are you doing?" As Zumi knows that Ochako does love him deep down more than anyone. And as all for, or so Sraki-sen says, he knows what truly happened that day. The gravity quirks, or gravity powers, are too powerful to whom. As Sraki-sen says, so he's destroying Ochako, or that girl's, gravity to rip it from her own body. As she's holding him, or so Zumi, his sister, holds him. Like, so then a big explosion happened, All Might shows up, and before, and then so Zuko gets knocked back from, as he gets stabbed right in the chest on a metal rod. Right through. As Zumi, he's, as All Might can't believe that the explosion entrance, as Zuko gets out of, as he walks over, as they see him coming out of or like having the spike get ripped out of his chest. It takes a lot of energy. So then a pork, or so Kyuguri delivers big chunk of meat, and Zuko ate it. So then Zuko goes in, and as that's my brother, as Zumi says, be careful with him. He's not himself. As she gets all the students and classmates out of there. Or no, she gets her classmates and the 13 and Mr. Aizawa out of there before. And then so then she ran back in to, as All Might was down, as Zuko's about to kill All Might, as Zumi says, "Brother, stop!" As he stops right in front of from a few inches from All Might's chest. You know whom better than killing as Izuku's. He can't look at Zumi as he starts to tear up. As his powers, so he's trying to hold himself from all that pain. As All Might gets up, he was badly injured, like no return kind, but when so as things start flying around with so much power, or as his voices, all of the voices in his head were screaming at him all at once. And he's about to take, or he was about to turn the entire city into, or he was about to turn the entire world into, or about to destroy it. As All Might, he sees why, as he grabs Zuku and hugs him. As there, young Midoriya. As Sharky-san's upset, time for you to die. As he gets shot in the legs like in cannon. As so then the students, or so everybody was wondering, why did a building start shaking and all that stuff? And so they ran him to the hospital, or recovery girl, so then recovery girl discovers that we need to keep him from, we need to figure out why Zuku, so one of the, or let's say Wild Pussycat and Red came in and looked at him, or went into his mind, as she sees like the entire, like his entire fantasy world was so dark that it makes the wall of meat, or meat wall, or whatever, look like a toddler. Or it makes the iron meat looked like a children's play toys. So, yeah. Stuff like that. So she flies around, or she walks around in his head and finds him cowered in a corner on the floor with many disembodied voices of Ochako, Bako, everyone from the entire world is making or telling him that he's quirkless, useless, running all that stuff. Yeah. I think I scared my own dog, so yeah. Quirkless, useless, and all that stuff. On repeat. Like an endless loop of pain and suffering. As she could see herself too. As he... Yeah, with all that... As he hugs, or as she hugs him. As she tells him that things are going to be alright. You can become a hero. As he looks up just slightly. As he had bloodshot eyes. As he's been crying so much. Hunch. As he's... Yeah. So tell me, as he tells, or no, as she tells him, tell me, what happened to, like, the killed, or who killed or what happened to the powered? Anzuka looks away. Gravity. Power. As he looks away from her, that killed them. Because it was an accident, and that as he wasn't talking like himself. He was talking like someone else is controlling him from the inside out. Like as she leaves, well, as the detective says, did you get it through to him? Yeah. But someone, or his mind is too heavy weight. What do you mean? Well, because of powers of zero, because of powers of zero is taking all of our negative emotions, and that boy actually knew that his friends betrayed him and stuff like that. But one thing that bothered me was when I asked him about the powers era, was when he responded they were all killed by gravity power. And I knew that someone else was pulling the strings. So, Zuko was in pain. In so much pain. Maybe we need to figure out a way. As they said, we need to figure out a way to make him happy. Like, basically cheer him up. Trying to think. If he has this much power, he's more dangerous than anyone else. So, can you dive deeper into his subconscious to see who he was or who was controlling him? Sure. As she dives deeper into Zuko's mind once again. And what she found was Claire whimpering in Zuko's core. It is a weird it is so Claire looked more like, let me find stupid image. Claire looked way more like a looks like her without pointy ears. She looks more human than as she's whimpering, like she's crying, as she basically blames herself for killing the entire human race of powers. Because, yeah. So, she went through, or so the wild cat Red went in deeper into and saw the memories of that girl that her father told her, don't use your powers too much. And she didn't. Yeah. So then the wild cat actually hugged her. And stuff like that happens a lot. So now let's continue. So after Zuko, the girl got happy that she got forgiven by everybody. So she faded into, yeah. So then Zuko regains his smile back. Goldfish? No, that's... So, yeah. So yeah. So Zuko regains his smile. But he had to deal with... So in order to, for him to release all that negative energy, they made a machine to, basically to empty the Zuko's negative out of his body. So they did that. As it creates a spear, like an orb. And so he was now way happy. As he still had memories of him trying to kill Ochako. No. But besides that, it's the... So when his mother heard that he's back to normal, he still had powers of infinity and zero, but now he's a full-classed, became a pro hero. He actually was a full-time pro hero and a full-time teacher when he's... Yeah, everybody went from being like, you quirkless loser and all that stuff, to like, hey Zuko, what's up? Nice to meet you again, and all that stuff, being all nice. He went through like what Ares went through. Tortured, being... Yeah, and then, yeah, that stuff. But then, yeah. He did absorb All for One's attack and thrown it right back at him, and stuff like that happens. So then yeah. I was going to include the hero killer stain into this what if, but it's too brutal. So, now let's continue this story. So, now, a couple days have passed. Every villain liked him more than the pro heroes. And some of them are also afraid of him because of his powers. So, yeah. So then he becomes like friends with... And he did apologize to Ochako about him almost trying to kill her because So then, yeah. So Inko can't believe that her own son was one of those powers people from back then. So how did it make you feel, Zuko, having this power of infinity and zero? Pretty good. The upside is you can control everything that you ever wanted. Money, power, or anything in the universe. But the downside is that because of zero, you take everyone's hatred, like all the negative emotions, and stores them inside your body until you release them. So when Inko heard that Zuko was or when she learned the power zero is the stuff like that. Yeah. Well, that's interesting, as the detective says. So, so the power zero, you absorb negative energy into yourself and release it at will, right? Yes. So, if I'm close to somebody that has negative energy, like that pepper or the mint kid, the one Todoroki, because of he has hatred for his father, my powers takes his hatred away from him and add it to my own body. Stuff like that. So yeah. So Zuko was pretty much as they're like, so that's why if someone has negative emotions, gets turned into or gets more positive, then how about your powers of infinity? Better to show you. As he puts his hand out in the front of the like a sofa, as he turns it into like a superhero. Couch man. Da 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 da. Yeah, I see. So you can turn objects into different things. Like you're alternating the molecular structure. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Really? And I'll tell you what the percentage of that is. 0.1%. As he's like, man, what would happen if like use full power of it? Well, it's then I become a force to be reckoned with, basically. That's a term when, yeah. So then when Inko is like, man, so you're saying you're the most powerfulest person in the entire universe. Yeah. But at least I'm not the dangerous one compared to there's an alternate universe version, as he says. His name's called Doomsday Zuko. As, do you want me to, like, sure. As he sits down, okay. Doomsday Zuko is a creature of destruction, basically. He's the Quark Doctor made him in the lab. And his hatred for everybody. But there's a backstory, sad one. But I need Inko to, like, to, like, demonstrate what I'm trying to say. So, Inko, she'll be, like, herself. So, then he just, like, pretends to be a doctor. And so the guy is like, oh, I see. If you have not watched the What If Deku was Doomsday one shot, go check it out. It's pretty cool and have fun, okay? And so he explains the whole backstory to it. As they're like, man. So as Inko starts crying, she can't believe that she died in an alternate universe and seeing her own son getting turned into a monster, stuff like that. So then, yeah. So it was a quack doctor that you said that caused it. Yes, and then All for One used, or he went to there. He activated the destroyer thing. Like, he destroys the entire world. Ooh, scary thought. Well, I think I know that the court doctor might experiment because seeing a lot of no moves around. So thank you for giving us all that info. So then he goes away, like he walks away, and he immediately turns the doctor over to the authorities, and this story ends in a flash. So peace out, Cub Scouts, and have a good night or day. Depends on time zones. Peace.